Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Claw and the King podcast. I'm joined by my co-host, Dopey, over here. How was your week? How was your past couple of weeks, actually? You've been quite a busy man.
Yeah.
What have you been up to? Have you enjoyed the world of sport?
The world of sport, yeah. I mean, I haven't been watching that much. Obviously, went away over New Year's. Got a bit sick, actually, after I came back. I think it was just a body malfunction after a bit of a bender. But that's something you're obviously used to, being sick.
Yeah, it's a tough life.
Shoe on the other foot this time. But, on the other side of it, bigger and better things. 2024, this is our year, baby.
Did you have any resolutions? Did you
Resolutions?
have anything that you wanted to accomplish in
probably
the new year?
If I ever go to a festival like that again, put your drinks in a car full of girls. That's
Why?
probably my main resolution. Why? Because our car got searched by some dickhead Seki and he stole all the drinks.
Really?
Yeah.
Damn. Well,
And from what I heard, no girl's car even got touched. It's just straight on in.
so when you drove into the place, the Sekis are searching your car.
They basically search 1 in 10 cars and they happen to heavy search ours. Open every
just a
single bag, feel through it.
Well, we have some dodgy looking mates, so that was probably the reason why.
And
They're probably looking for something else as well, but
I did half-assed, hiding all the shit. I just wrapped it up and stuff and put it in my bag. But it was still very disappointing.
How much did you bring?
It was a bottle of vodka and some Tuis.
Well, first off, bringing Tuis is a freaking crime by itself. Bringing beer, I mean, come on, just get a load off, get some hard solos, get some, just get something easy to drink. Don't get something that's just going to stodge you.
No, but then
down.
they had that in there, so I ended up, I probably spent $400 on alcohol in there because obviously I lost all my alcohol, so
it's tough, man.
it was tough life. Fuck that guy, honestly. He's a volunteer. What are you doing actually taking people's drinks?
I doubt he's a volunteer.
No, they're all volunteers.
Really?
Yeah. He, and every car, they know every single car is taking drugs and alcohol in. That's just what happens. Every car is doing it. But they still fucking take our shit for some reason.
It's a tough life, mate.
It's a tough life.
But look, I'm glad you had a good time. More on the world of sport now.
Sport.
Has anything sort of happened that you want to sort of bring up first?
Recent news, I guess we can talk on in the NRL is currently the off season. Obviously, the biggest player in the world, LeBron James himself for the NRL, Jerome Luai, has come out.
Many people have described him as that.
He's obviously done his version of the decision and chosen to sign with the Tigers, which is good for him. Obviously, great signing for them. They'll probably finish 14th now, so. It's a good signing for them. Panthers, obviously, everyone's saying to be lost. We'll see. I think.
Well, look, it depends who you replace him with. Look,
I've actually got the best idea.
What if it's Jack Cogger or something?
It's not going to be Jack Cogger. So Luai plays this year. Moiser wins a Man of Steel in England. He comes back for a swan song, one last season with us. Plays 6.
Matt Moylan can get into the Sharks team.
Yeah, because it was the wrong system for him.
Was it?
You don't think he would play well in our system?
No, I think he is probably slower than a snail at this point in his career.
He doesn't need to be fast.
I think you need to have some sort of semblance of athleticism left in you. I think he's completely washed. His defensive game is abhorrent.
Yeah, his defense is bad, but we can cover that.
He makes some good look, no look passes. I mean, he can do that. Good on him. But I don't know. I think the problem with the Panthers, they were always going to run into this problem because they had so many top quality players on peanuts, essentially.
I don't think any, people always talk about Melbourne, but I don't think Melbourne even lost this many players.
It's because you all had them all on zero money, and once you start
and Melbourne obviously cheated, so that kind of helps, but...
Well, yeah, but I don't know. I think you've got to sort of go with whatever you've got through the youth, and apparently you got some good talent in the halves.
Best nursery in the world
coming through.
Nursery run producer.
Yeah, there you go.
Penrith Panthers. But yeah, I think we'll do well. We'll obviously still win the comp this year, and then next year will be the real challenge, I guess. But
well, I think we've berated Luai a couple of times in terms of especially his origin performances.
You won't have to worry about him playing for New South Wales anymore.
Yeah, but I think, look, the Tigers had to make this kind of move, in my opinion. You've got to.
Well, they've massively overpaid.
Well, what kind of half with his pedigree comes on the open market? And that's the argument that they've got to make to themselves. They've got to be like, look, we might as well throw it at throw everything at the kitchen sink at this point. Just because, there's nothing that they've been able to attract recently that has made a massive difference. They've got some good young talented players in there, but that they do need a marquee guy, especially in the halves. Luai is that guy. So, look, have I been critical of some of his performances? Yes, but does he help the Tigers? Yeah. It's a double-edged sword.
I mean, yeah, he helps them, I guess, a little bit, because that's not hard to help them. They're obviously dog shit. But 1.2, you're expecting to be at least making the 8. And I don't think he can. He's not a halfback. Like, he can't carry a team around. He's a 6 that plays well when he's got Nathan Cleary next to him, who's the best player.
That's the test now. We'll see if he steps up without those elite players around him. We'll see. I mean, he hasn't been tested like that before.
And
so we'll see.
Did you see my story?
I did.
I put up a story, like kind of low key roasting him, but also low key not.
Goodbye. What did you put?
I said like, thanks, cheers LeBron, because he did the decision thing. I was like, cheers LeBron, enjoy all the woodenware, because obviously they win a lot of wooden spoons. And he actually saw it, which was kind of funny.
Wow, what did he say?
He didn't say anything.
How do you know he saw it?
Because on Instagram you can see who's viewed your stories.
Oh, nice.
So he
How
saw
many
it,
views
and
did the story get?
Bloke in a Bar saw it as well.
Oh, nice.
So moving up in the world. How many people saw it? Probably like 23.
So does Bloke in a Bar follow you?
No.
Then how do they see your story?
I don't know.
Luai
must have sent it to him and been like, oi, bro, look at this shit. The people are saying things.
Yeah, maybe you're just gone viral and you didn't even know.
Yeah, who knows?
I highly doubt it.
Look, that would be ideal.
Look, that's the best case scenario. Now, it could be a case of, someone else letting Luai know, and then it's sort of him being upset about it.
You think he doesn't run his account? I think he's the type of guy to run his account. Probably.
But look, we'll see. I think it's a decent move. I think that's a bit harsh from you. He did win a couple of comps.
No, I'm salty that he's leaving. I'm not.
Okay.
That's where the low-key roasting comes from.
Okay.
But,
so it comes from a place
and also
of
from
love.
the fact that he thinks he's LeBron, but he's nowhere near that stature in the game.
Well, you're wearing a Lakers hat, so I can see your opinion on LeBron. It's probably a bit more elevated than most, but we'll see. I think with the Tigers, I think it fits in nicely with what they're trying to do. Obviously, we have no idea what Adam Dewey and his injury, if he's able to even walk again. So
they're done with him anyway.
So I think it's good for them. Hopefully, they can sort of move up with Benji, but you never know. But it's going to be a struggle again for them this season, unfortunately. But you've got Buller back in fullback, so you never know.
Well, hooray for that! That is great signs. Okay, we can move. Speaking about the Lakers, obviously the best team in the world, we can move over to the NBA. Is there any glaring stories you want to talk about before we sort of dissect the Lakers?
Well, I mean, in the NBA, there's a story every day. There isn't one that sort of springs to mind that's sort of an out there one. Did you have one that sort of jumps out to you as a bad one? Obviously, the Pistons broke their magical streak of a million losses in a row, and they seem to be going on another one. They're trying to beat it, which is fair play to them. They're trying to beat that streak, which is impressive for them.
Well,
they're horrendous.
May as well.
Wemby finally got some minutes in prime time. When the Spurs were on one of their 5 scheduled games a week on ESPN, which is fantastic. Obviously the Clippers are doing well, but is there a thing about the Lakers you'd like to sort of?
Yeah, well, I mean, if you hadn't been watching, obviously the Lakers are now, I think we're 2 games below 500, which is good stuff. Obviously we lost to Memphis yesterday, which was kind of the final nail in the coffin.
The 11th seed now.
I mean, the fact that Memphis are like somewhat close to us now is just fucking pathetic. After winning a literal championship, I guess. And this is why I was so heavily for whoever wins that should get a guaranteed playoff spot, because I knew this would happen. So I think we should dissect what's going wrong with the team. Now, obviously, LeBron and AD have been playing well. There's not really much you can say about them. But the rest of the guys
suck.
Have forgotten how to play basketball, it appears. I mean, Rui's obviously injured. You were dog shit when you were playing anyway. Gabe Vincent.
Well, that's another thing. I just want to bring up the fact that Lakers fans overvalue their role players to an nth degree. When there are trade rumors of like Rui and Austin Reeves for Zach LaVine, and Lakers fans are like, what? This is the most bullshit trade in history. We're giving them so much. Rui Hachimura,
I was thinking about that
Austin
yesterday.
Reeves.
I was like, I'm at the point where I'm happy for Austin to go for Zach LaVine.
I'm sorry, but Zach LaVine is 3 times the players than both Rui and Austin Reeves. It
is a risk, though, because he's always injured.
He's always injured, but in terms of an actual basketball player, he is 100 million miles ahead of those guys. I don't know why the Lakers overvalued their role players this season. I think you brought in, obviously, a couple of new ones, and you had a decent season last season, but I mean...
Well, they were overvalued because of last year. Like, they were really good in the playoffs. Obviously, D'Angelo Russell... We don't need to talk about him anymore. He was awful in the playoffs, and he's backed that up by being even more awful this year. So,
that's good.
From a guy that was an all-star, I don't know what the fuck he's doing. Some of the shots he takes, I'm like, there's a guy like 99% smothering him, and then he just thinks that he's got space somehow, and he just lobs it up there, and he gets fucking packed to the other side of the stadium. It's some of the lowest IQ stuff I've ever seen. Gabe Vincent, though, you're Kendrick Nunn 2.0 at this point. How can you go from being the third best player on a finals team to a scrub in the space of...
Has he even played for you yet?
He's played about 5 games. I think he's made 1 shot. I don't know what the fuck is going on. He couldn't miss in the playoffs last year, and now he cannot do anything for the life of me. It's something... must be with the Lakers. Like, you can't play in LA or something. It's a curse. But, yeah, I think we have to stop signing Heat players. That's probably one to stop with. Obviously, they are only good in their system. Like, if you look at Hawkes, I mean, my God, this guy's a rookie and he's Manu Ginobili reincarnated. It's fucking ridiculous. But, Darvin Ham.
That's where the most criticism,
Darvin Ham.
I think.
If you give Taurean Prince 30 minutes a fucking game for the rest of the year, I will kill you. I swear to God.
But obviously, we do not mean that. That is...
Taurean Prince thinks he's J.R. Smith, and that's like his ceiling. He thinks he's J.R. Smith. He's nowhere near J.R. Smith. He takes so many shots. As soon as people think Michael Porter Jr. is a ball stopper, Taurean Prince is a fucking ball stopper, but he can't shoot.
He's a corner 3 merchant. I mean, everyone knows that.
Not even anymore. He's a top of the key. He's a wing 3 merchant. He's a driving merchant. As soon as he gets the ball, he just takes it off the dribble, step back 3, brick, airball, brick, airball, and he's on the floor for 30 minutes a night. Doing what? He wouldn't get 30 minutes in Detroit. Let's be honest.
He probably would.
No.
It's a tough one. Obviously the Cam Reddish and the Taurean Prince are the one that stand out because they get so many minutes and they stink it up every game. I think it's just one of those things. I think it happened with a couple of years ago with the Lakers again, where you made a bunch of mid-season moves and you had a surge, but it just died down. And I just don't think that you have enough quality in terms of... I mean, you've got plenty of players, but you need to be a good team, especially in the West. You need 7 solid players that you can consistently rely on night in, night out. I mean, you look up and down the playoff picture on even the East now. They have multiple players that can put up at least 15 a night with really good efficiency. But the Lakers just seem like a team that D'Angelo may get 30 one night, but he'll get 8 points the next on 2 of 11 from the field. It's just it's one of those teams where it's so frantically put together that there is no cohesion with the thought process of how they play together. And that's part of Darvin Ham's fault, I think. Obviously, he's well revered as a good man motivator, but probably on the tactical side, he's not the most elite of the elite. He's more of a player's coach. It's a tough one. I think there is no real way out. It was like with the Lakers over the past couple of seasons. Really, you're stuck with this core because LeBron is untradeable, AD's untradeable, and the rest of the pieces aren't valuable enough to get much. You could shake it up with a Zach LaVine or I don't know. obviously OG and Anunoby just went to the Knicks. Obviously not him, but
I see Cat and heaps of rumours.
Cat.
We wouldn't get him, but
why would the Timberwolves trade Cat? They're the number one seed. It's just it's just one of those where there isn't much you can do other than slightly shake it up and maybe shake up the format of the team. Obviously, you've got a number of players that could get minutes, and maybe you just risk it and say, hey, we're going to put our chips at, like I said, Zach LaVine to get a consistent scorer every night. But yeah, I'm not sure where you go per se, because it is quite stacked in that West. There is, obviously, like you said, Memphis are only going to get better with Jar back, so they're going to be probably a contender, definitely for the play-in.
There's 12 teams really in the West that are at least decent. So you're really struggling. I mean, at this point where we've had LeBron and AD on the floor and we need to win those games because they're probably going to get injured at some point. So it's worrying signs. Worrying signs for sure. I mean, if we go to the crosstown rivals, obviously the Clippers, they've done the complete our seasons are literally opposites.
Mirrored,
yeah. Like, we started really well, you started obviously terribly, and now it's just completely shifted. Clippers, I can't believe how good they are, to be honest. I mean, we're
playing good basketball, to be fair.
Yeah.
I thought this might happen, but I was after the trade, you thought maybe this will sort of kickstart the offense. But once we lost those first couple of games, you're like, oh, God, this is not going to look good. But James Harden's been unreal. He has been, in terms of just his ability to manipulate pace on the offensive end, both in half court and full court. I think the cohesion of the team is so strong right now. Obviously, a lot of these guys have played together for multiple years, so that does help. Even like a guy like Norman Powell, who was fresh in last year, he has another year and another off season with the team, and he's a real spark plug off the bench. It seems real cohesive. I think Paul George and Kawhi are playing elite, and they're playing a lot, which is the main thing. I think even without James Harden, if you look at when PG and Kawhi have been on the court together, the record is quite impressive. So I think once with those guys playing as much as possible, and knock on wood they don't get injured, I'd hope that they sort of stay where they are, and they that we continue to sort of play good. And look, we're probably the best form team in the NBA at the moment. And yeah, it has impressed me how good James Harden has been, even as a scorer. But I think it is because I think the other night he had like 8 points and 2 of 8 from the field, but it didn't matter because you had guys like PG playing well, and Harden had like 12, 13 assists, and that's all. And that's a real solid impact on the team. Whereas in Philly, per se, he'd have to be the second scorer. And obviously Philly are playing well now, so I think it was just a team, a beneficial trade for both sides, probably.
Yeah, I think so. The Clippers, they're probably the third. I think they're probably third favourites at the moment, after Denver and Boston. So, yeah, they're fucking good. I mean, Westbrook, he's doing his thing off the bench. Obviously, he's not really doing much of his thing, but still.
Well, he's a spark plug.
He's a spark plug, but he doesn't really do much.
Everyone has a role, which is a bit different to what we've had before. We've had it's been a bit muddled in terms of what everyone's role is, and people wanting more time or people deserving less time. It's just, I think, and over the past couple of years, we had like a stupidly deep team in terms of how many players would play. Like, we'd have 10 players that you could argue were, all at the same level and should have played.
Lou and Montrez were like joint 6 man of the year. And it was like they were better than the starters.
And we had Batum, who was a really good player, but again, we didn't need him. We had Batum, Terrence Mann, Marcus Morris, all playing in the same position, as well as Kawhi and PG, all wings. Those guys are all wings, and they're just, there's like 7 wings that could play and could potentially start, but we just couldn't get all of them in. And I think getting rid of a lot of that extra unneeded depth, I think has helped us as well in terms of cohesion with the team. But yeah, we're looking good. I think we're 3 games out of the top seed in the West. So
yeah,
I think obviously the Celtics are probably the favourites at the moment, but we'll see.
They're definitely favourites in the East. The East, Milwaukee have been pretty disappointing, I think. Even though they've still got a good record, they haven't been sort of dominating teams. It's funny seeing Indiana beat them every time because fucking, Giannis is petty like that and he wants to beat Indiana. But
yeah, they're like 4-1 against them or something.
Who else? Miami are fucking... They're always going to be dangerous in the playoffs, so I don't know what to make of them. They're just Miami again. Then Philly, you hear Charles Barkley going on about, Philly is one of the 3 teams that can win the East, but he does that every year because he loves Philly, obviously.
Yeah.
But I can't, even though Embiid's having one of the best seasons ever, arguably, I think he's averaging 35. I still don't see them really being a proper threat. I don't know.
Well, it's tough to sort of predict. I think if Philly get an injury to like a Maxey, they're done. So, and again, if the Celtics get ridden with injuries as well, it's tough to predict what happens in the postseason because of things that they're out of teams' controls. But right now, Milwaukee, it just seems like one of those teams that's probably going to turn it on at the right time. And I think that's what most people are predicting, that they'll be up there and competing for the chip come the playoffs, because they've got too much talent to not do that. So, but I think the Celtics, they're just such a deep team. It's just crazy. Yeah. I mean, to have a guy like Derek White, Drew Holiday, Porzingis adding in as well, it's just along with Tatum and Brown, it's just too much. It is. It's a classic, just unreal team, like a stacked team in a sense that it's not full of all-stars, but it's full of guys that are just...
Well, it is. Well, 4 of them are all-stars.
Oh, yeah, it is full of all-stars. But you know what I mean? It's got, on top of the all-stars, it's not like the Warriors were back in the day where they got scrubs. They've got unreal depth as well. So, yeah, they're probably going to be the toughest one to get. In terms of the West, do you have any sort of early favourite?
Well, I think Denver there again. I mean, they were so good in the playoffs last year, and Jokic has been insane again this year. He's just he's unguardable when he wants to be. We just saw that crazy game winner against Golden State. Golden State are probably the one team that is like, holy shit, these guys are in trouble. Chris Paul obviously just broke his hand again, I think.
Yeah, he did. I saw that, yeah.
Which is, shocking. Chris Paul getting injured at 40 years of age. Who saw that coming? Absolutely no one. So
it's a different injury, though, to be fair to him.
But it's always a injury.
Yeah. The Warriors. I mean, they're just controversy after controversy. Recently, Kuminga coming out saying about...
And Moody said as well, apparently.
Yeah. I mean, the top draft picks a couple of years ago, coming out and saying that they aren't getting the minutes that they deserve. And it's probably the...
Look, they're fucking... It's not like they're stars. They're all right, but they're not.
Well, look, I think the blame... I don't think they should have gone public with it, because I just don't like that if it was my team. But I do think they do have a point.
Really?
With Steve Kerr, he's got to understand the reality of the situation. He had a responsibility to transition these young guys through. Kuminga is extremely talented, and the vision was...
But he has no bag.
Even still, the vision was, by the front office, was to try and maintain these older stars, but to be able to develop these young guys. And Steve Kerr, I mean, if there's one chink in his armor, he does not have a history of developing players. And you can argue, look, they were picking at the 30th pick every year because they were such a good team.
He's only coached one team.
But did he develop any of the stars at the Warriors? Obviously, he probably made them better, but were they already on that trajectory anyway? Were they already that good of a player anyway? I don't think he's taken a recent draft pick and made him unreal. Now, you can maybe argue the Kevon Looney's where he's turned him into a good role player. Jordan Poole. But it's just, I think with Kuminga and Moody, they had so much high hopes for them being the future of the team, and playing Wiggins ahead of Kuminga in crunch time minutes. Basically, I think the whole fourth quarter he played Wiggins over, and they end up losing the game to the Nuggets, obviously, on a crazy Jokic buzzer beater.
Wiggins is on a massive contract, a number 1 overall pick. He should be...
But Kuminga's more important. He's more valuable. He is... I say he was drafted as the future of the team, and coming out of high school, Kuminga... I know high school, but coming out of high school, Kuminga was regarded as a top 3 prospect. He went to, I think, the G League instead of going to college. But I think it's one of those things where Steve has got to understand that, would it cost you a win or two here or there? Maybe. But you have got to sacrifice those wins at this point with how bad you are this season. You've got to get these guys, at least see if they've got it. At least give them the opportunity, give them consistently 30, 35 minutes a night to see if they can step up and take responsibility and maybe be the future of the team. And Moody, I never seen him play. He was the 11th pick, I think, in the draft for the Warriors. And for the past, 3-4 years, he hasn't played more than 12 minutes a night, I don't think. I don't think he started a game.
I've seen him play a bit, but again, he's a decent spot-up shooter, and he can drive a bit, but when I see Kuminga especially as well, I see this guy just dribble himself into a hole and get a turnover half the time. Where it's like, okay, he's got potential.
You got to let him play it out, though. That's my point.
Yeah, but other players don't need to do that.
Well, yeah, obviously
other players come in and are good.
Yeah, but they might as well. You might as well just let him make his mistakes, because at the end of the day, he's the future of the team. I mean, he's the guy. And maybe Steve doesn't care about that. Maybe he's thinking about retirement or after Curry leaves and all that, or Curry retires. But you've got to understand that your dereliction to the franchise, this is the future of the franchise. Otherwise, if you don't bother playing or developing these players, they're going to end up in a situation where when Steph, Clay, Draymond retire within a 2-year span, and you're left with a bunch of scrubs on the team, and you're in a full rebuild, and you end up with the Pistons. So it's one of those situations where they've got to just try it. And I know it will hurt their record, but let's be real. Are they winning a championship this year? No. So I think you've got to be realistic and play these young players. And I know it will cost you wins, especially with Kuminga, with some of his flaws, but he does have obvious talent there. So you've got to let him play it out and let him make those mistakes and just keep supporting him.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you probably would have to now. I mean, with Paul out, Draymond out, you don't even have any other players, really. You're going to have to play these guys.
Well, and I don't like Steve Kerr's comment as well. He said that, well, in my 15 years, I always wanted, when my 15 years of playing, I always wanted more minutes. And I always wanted to play more. But it's also like, you were drafted.
You were never that guy.
Yeah. You would never had the potential to be anything other than a good role player that can be a good spot-up shooter. Like, that was your role. Kuminga has the potential to be more than that. And you've got to see that, and you've got to be able to play it. But that's just my opinion. It's obviously a tough thing for him, because all he's known as a coach is winning. I mean, I think was it his first year that he won the chip? Yeah. All he's known is this elite team that he's been on.
Well, yeah, I mean, he won 6 rings as a player and then 4 as a coach.
So I can imagine it's tough to see it kind of slowly falling apart for him and have these struggles and these, these tough moments that he hasn't had to. Obviously, when that got the Wiseman pick, they were not good that year, but you've just got to have the future in mind in terms of some of those situations. I know it's tough, but he's just got to do it.
Yeah. What else? All-Star voting came out. Anything surprising about
Austin
that?
Reeves fucking made it, of course.
He was 10th.
The Lakers
fans. Like he's
fans.
going to make it.
Was there any surprises in that? Obviously, Devin Booker again.
Was he not even in the top 10?
No.
Holy shit, no one likes him.
No one votes for... Surprised Kevin Durant. Obviously, Kevin Durant's a big name, but surprised Kevin Durant was second.
Ahead of Jokic?
Yeah, he was second in front. I think second in front court votes behind LeBron. And it's like, should he be?
How did he get all those fans? Because he's like one of the most hated players ever.
That's also a theory that I've thought about, and I think it was on Twitter as well. If he didn't go to the Warriors and he stayed with the Thunder, or he went to like a different team, do you think he'd be like the most liked player in NBA history? Just because he's like,
maybe,
like he'd just be
I
like
don't really
a funny
get it,
troll.
I never really liked him like that.
I know, but because he's so talented and so good, he'd just be like the funniest troll ever, and how he like just randomly trolls people on Twitter.
Yeah, maybe.
I think the perception of Kevin Durant would be a million times different by the general public if he didn't go to the Warriors. But that's just a food for thought for a different day. But yeah, I don't know why there's so many Kevin Durant fans. Obviously, he's a massive name, so
he's been to enough teams now, so he's amassed them in different areas.
Yeah,
of the
to be fair, but I just can't. How many games has he played this year? He hasn't played consistently. He played a lot
to start, but he's been injured recently. The big three, fuck me. How many games have they played together?
I don't even. I think I remember watching the first game they'd played together, and I think Bill got injured in it. And I think within the game,
I think it was in the first quarter.
Yeah, it's just been a nightmare. I mean, we predicted it in terms of the lack of depth. And look, they're good players, but they do have injury history. Other than Devin Booker, probably they do have injury history here. And if one of them goes down, I mean, you're screwed because your depth anyway. I mean, it's shocking. I mean, you've got Metu starting for you. It's just
Grayson Allen's the go-to guy.
It's just awful. And the bad thing for the Suns as well, they lost a lot of their depth. Like the guys like Cameron Payne, they lost. So to another contender in the Bucks. So
they just let him go, didn't they?
Yeah, they probably couldn't afford to keep him, to be fair. But it's just when you sign these amount of guys, you're just never gonna recover, and it's just it's tough for them.
Yeah. Well, we can leave NBA there unless there's anything else you want to cover. No. Okay, we can move on to the summer of cricket in Australia. Big news around the country. Obviously, the cricket. Everyone gets around at this time of year.
Great sides of Pakistan.
Great sides of the subcontinent coming over to Australia. Yes, but the first series has ended against Pakistan. Obviously, 3-0 victory for Australia.
Shock.
The main story is obviously David Warner's final test. And then who's going to replace him? I mean, it was good to see him go out with some runs. Nice send off for him.
Yeah,
obviously he's been a bit controversial over the years.
Yeah, but I mean, as an England fan, I'm not the biggest David Warner fan, if I'm honest. But look, nice for him to get a good send off. Good player for Australia in all forms of the game. So yeah, good send off for him. And look, I thought it was going to be a game yesterday. Honestly, when Khawaja went down the first over, I was like, oh, hold your horses here. Yeah. This pitch is talking. And then they scored 100 straight runs. And it was
then they didn't play. They didn't bowl their two best bowlers until there was like 40 runs needed to win.
Yeah, it was just one of those. So, yeah, Pakistan, we knew they were going to lose 3-0 in the series. I think they made it closer in the last two tests than people maybe expected, but people did expect that they'd lose.
West Indies, this is going to be a fucking... I don't even know one... I looked at their squad. I don't even know one name on there. I at least know, like, Babur Azam for Pakistan.
Yeah.
But I don't even know one person. And the other thing I'm realising is with these lower teams or not as good teams, like, do you know Haris Rauf?
No.
He plays for the Stars. But he's Pakistan, and he's chosen to play for the fucking Melbourne Stars instead of do the test matches.
Yeah, that's
and
bad.
A couple of the West Indies have chosen to go play T20 games.
The big controversy in Test cricket is the South Africans, because have you heard how they've created their own T20 league, but they have a current Test series going on with India. So a big South Africa, India.
Didn't India just get bowled out for nothing?
Yeah, it was a crazy game, but they didn't let their best players, their Test players, play against India. They had to play in the friggin' T20 competition that they just started. And so they're wheeling out this fucking B team, essentially.
That won.
I don't know if it was in this specific test because there was a couple of big names, but it might be the next one. I'm not too sure about the timing of it, but it is happening. Or has happened. I'm not too sure. I haven't really paid too close attention to it, but it's just a shock. Essentially, countries and players are prioritizing the short forms of the game over Test cricket, which is, obviously not good.
It's worrying times because Test cricket, everyone above the age of 30 thinks Test cricket's best, and it is the best form of the game. I mean, there's so much tactics, so much that goes into it. It's a war of attrition.
I would say even if you're outside of Perth, everyone in Australia thinks Test cricket is better than T20.
Well, like, no one's like, oh, fuck yeah.
Big Bash is on.
We've got a 2020 series coming up, but like...
Well, no, Big Bash is decent this year.
But everyone's like, oh, it's the summer cricket. We got 5 great test matches to look forward to. Sit down every day on the couch during summer and just watch that shit. And it's in real danger. I mean, because apart from Australia, India and England, nobody else is like putting the resources into it to growing it or even keeping it alive, really. So... it is slightly worrying times, I guess, just with all these players choosing to play 2020s, obviously for the money, but also because, I don't know, they can't be fucked to play Test cricket.
Well, look, it's tougher to play Test cricket than it is T20.
Yeah, but it should be, like, that should be what you want to achieve. You want to play the toughest form of the game.
But there's just more money in T20 and it's easier and it's more flexible. It's just one of those things. So yeah, it's sad, but I'm hoping it does stay alive. But yeah, anyway, in terms of Australia's summer, it's not been too surprising. Hopefully, when does the Windies series start?
I think it's, I don't know. I think there's a week off in between.
Okay.
Might be next week. But
yeah. I mean, that's a riveting one. I'm on holiday, so I'm going to be keen to watch friggin'.
Who do you think should replace Warner?
It's a tough one. The idea was recently floated Steve Smith, which I think is a terrible decision. Because you're just like putting a Band-Aid over something that doesn't need to be put a Band-Aid
I think that's
over.
just because there's some real Cam Green dick riders that want to somehow fit him back in the team.
Yeah. Actually put Cam Green as opener. Opening bowler and opening batter. Let's do that. It's
most people are saying either
Renshaw.
Bancroft, Renshaw, or Harris.
I wouldn't go Harris. I wouldn't touch Harris again. I mean, he's been given.
Well, they've all had their chances.
No,
really.
Renshaw has had 0 chances.
No, he's played.
When like 2018.
Maybe, but I definitely remember him playing.
No, he hasn't had any chance. He was actually dropped because of his domestic form. He wasn't actually dropped because he was actually playing really well.
I remember he got a century once.
Yeah, he played well for Australia, and then he got dropped because he wasn't playing well for domestically. So I would go Renshaw. I think he's probably the best out of them. The other two have had their time in the Australian team. Bancroft it's between him and Bancroft, to be fair, but I like Renshaw a lot. I think he's obviously a very solid player, but I think in the Big Bash he's displayed that he can sort of play those bigger shots, and he has developed his power element. And he's obviously a big guy. So yeah, and I think he's a perfect guy to sort of bring in. I don't know how young he is because he came in a couple of years ago, but he does look young. So that's a plus.
I don't think he's young.
That's a plus.
He's probably 30, but
we'll see. Well, look, I would go Renshaw personally.
Yeah, and I think you kind of need someone who can score reasonably quickly because Khawaja, as of late, is just like
blockathon.
Yeah, like scores 1 run every 15 balls. So
he's 27, Renshaw.
Okay, he's younger than I thought. But all this like David Warner's retiring. I'm like, bruh. Usman Khawaja was dog shit this series. He's 37 as well. Is he not
on the block?
Yeah, is he not on the block? Is he just because
do you do a double whammy? Do you bring in Bancroft and Renshaw? Do you do a?
I think I don't know. I mean, I guess you give Khawaja these 2 tests, and then you say, mate, thanks for your services.
Well, there's the Fraser McGurk guy. Have you heard about him?
I've seen him in the Big Bash.
He's like revered as Australia's future, in terms of batting. So do you plug him in there? Obviously, he's not. He hasn't been open for the Renegades, I think it is. But
the guy with the concussions. He's been commentating.
Stoinis?
No, the guy with the concussions that was really good, but he got...
Oh, the Polish name guy.
Yeah.
Positive.
Is it Oscar? No.
Oscar Pistorius? Talking about Oscars.
Will Pukowski.
Talking about Oscars. Oscar Pistorius recently released from jail.
Was he?
Yeah.
Well, hooray for the Oscars.
Yeah. Killed his girlfriend,
Joking.
Killed his girlfriend, but it's by the by.
How did he get out?
Don't know. I think he got...
He ran out.
No. I think he got half his sentence commuted. I don't know what
Did they take away his legs in there?
He's already got his legs taken away, bro.
No, I know, but did they not give him the fucking extensions?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Do they give him the prosthetics?
Yeah.
Or does he just have to be in a wheelchair?
Yeah, just hobble around on your...
That's a good thought. I reckon whoever does an interview, obviously there will be some 60 Minutes shit with him. They should ask him that. We should email into 60 Minutes. Hey, you're doing an interview with Oscar Pistorius. Do you mind asking him, did he have access to his prosthetics? Do you reckon he got access to his racing ones, like the ones with the spikes was used as a weapon? He just, in like the Kingsman, when that chick does the bottom of the shoe, she just like slices.
What was that chick? She just had fucking knife legs.
Yeah, she had like knives in her feet.
Yeah,
she just did like cartwheels and fucking cut people. But yeah, anyway, that was a bit of a sidetrack. But yeah, I would personally go. I'd risk it with Fraser McGurk if I'm honest.
Really?
If you're replacing both.
I mean, he's been good in the Big Bash. I haven't obviously seen him play much long form cricket, but Yeah, I haven't heard many people say him.
He's 21, Fraser McGregor.
Yeah. So he's got time. He doesn't.
But I would do that. Like, you might as well. You might as well give him a shot. I personally would. I don't know. I think it's just one of those, you got to get some young talent in there that's not Cam Green.
Yeah, I guess. But Test cricket,
born in 2002. Fuck, we're old.
He's younger than us. No, wait, no, he's not.
Yeah, he is.
Don't expose our age. He's
You're actually 15.
15.
Yeah, so no, I'd personally go with. I'd try and squeeze him in there if you're gonna try and do a complete overhaul. But I'd go with Renshaw if you're just doing a straight swap for Warner.
Well, at the bowlers, the bowlers are just so good. You can't really change them. But
they're old.
Lance Morris,
how good's Pat Cummins though?
I know. Jesus. Fuck me, Christ, he's good. Captain Courageous, man.
Do you reckon he's Australia's greatest ever player?
Second most important person in the country. Captain of the Test team. Greatest ever player.
Australia's greatest ever player. He's
not better than Bradman. It's not better than
Bradman played when they rolled.
He's not better than Ponting for me.
It's tough. Is he Australia's greatest ever bowler?
He's probably up there.
Won a World Cup.
He's won 2 World Cups.
Won 2 World Cups.
3 if you count 2020.
He's won Ashes.
He's up there for sure.
I mean,
this year especially has been.
It speaks to how great he is when he's in the best bowling attack in the world and he stands out like a sore thumb. In a good way. Yeah. He's unreal.
We took 3 fifers in the series, I think.
I know. I mean, look, I know it's Pakistan, but still, he's unreal. Absolutely unreal.
And he doesn't even have like amazing pace or.
He's just so accurate.
Yeah, he's just like.
With everything that he does, he's just unbelievably consistent. And there's always like a plan. There always seems like to be a plan when he's bowling. You know, some bowlers are just, fling it anywhere and just try and, swing it, do an in-swinger to the stumps every time. But he's always, for every specific batter, he seems like he's got a different plan. Like he's always aiming. If he doesn't get him out in a ball, he's setting him up for an eventual wicket, if that makes sense. So, yeah, he's unreal. I would put him, by the time he retires, if he's on this current trajectory, I think he's the greatest Australian cricketer ever.
We'll see. I mean, he's probably
in terms of the bat as well. If he's an unreal.
He's not.
Well, he's not unreal, but he's a real solid all rounder as well. Like
sometimes he's alright with the bat, sometimes he's not. But he's yeah. I mean, if he plays another 4 years, I might be pushing it, but if he plays another 4 years at this sort of level, then for sure he could be up there. I mean, this year especially, they won the World Test Championship, which obviously no one else could have won because of the first year. But
yeah,
he's got that on all of them. The World Cup, retained the Ashes, obviously won this series. Like, I don't think did they not win anything? I think they won everything they played.
They probably. It's tough, but
I mean, they lost some ODI series, but who gives a fuck about that? So, yeah, I mean, one of the better years for Australian cricket, I'd say, when everyone was saying, "Oh, we're in a bit of trouble here," which we still are because they're all fucking 40. But if they're still winning, what do you do? I mean,
no, it's like the Chicago Bulls. Do you blow it up? Is blowing it up worse? Does it make turn it to the Bulls where you're not competing for 20 years?
Let's analyze the Bulls' last 26 years where they've done absolutely nothing.
So yeah. Well, yeah, I think you've got to keep, especially the bowling band together. Maybe not Lyon, though. He's looked
Lyon.
He's looked dodgy.
Really?
I think he looked dodgy, especially the last 2 tests. He's looked freaking dodgy as hell.
Nah, you got to keep him in.
Well, yeah, that's and there's no one you bring in.
Yeah, like Zampa or
what? Bring in Zamps. No, it's tough. I'd keep the bowlers together, definitely.
I want to see Maxwell get a test.
Yeah, well, that's what's been talked about as well, in terms of, especially in subcontinents like India, Pakistan, Bangladesh. You go up there for a test. His ability to play spin, and I think his creativity with his ability to play spin, I think would be really beneficial. Obviously, unbelievable fielder as well. So,
and he's a good spinner as well.
Yeah, and he can provide a spin option as well. So yeah, definitely. If you're going to India for a test, he's got to be in it for me. I don't know that it's maybe out there to put Glenn Maxwell in a test side, but yeah, he's got to be in there.
Yeah, who cares? If he scores 40 off 10, then gets out, fuck it.
Yeah, I mean, look, watching England struggle in India is just a joke. So get players that know how to play spin. That's the main thing.
All right. So from good sporting teams to bad sporting teams in the Premier League, Manchester United now officially a bad sporting team.
We're in the dumps. We're in the dumps. We got a FA Cup match against Wigan tomorrow morning.
Should probably lose,
or maybe it might be the morning after. It's not great. I mean, we're shit. Martinez and Casemiro are coming back though, so that's a plus. The transfer window's opened. The winter transfer window, aka the January transfer window, is opened. Not much has happened in terms of that.
Isn't Sancho going to Dortmund?
Sancho's going to Dortmund on a 6-month loan, which I think is beneficial for both sides. He gets game time, and he can come back in the off-season and just see what we're going to do with him, essentially. But I think we got to sell him because he's just lazy as hell. And also, Timo Werner's gone to Spurs on a loan.
I thought he was coming to United.
No, I think he was rumoured to United.
I saw a thing that was like Darwin Núñez finally has competition again.
No. I'm kind of glad we didn't get him. He was shocking in a Chelsea shirt. So, yeah, he's gone to Spurs. Obviously, Spurs probably need the depth up top. And I think he should be used as that. I think Richarlison's playing well recently. Obviously, you can invert Son in there into that striker role as well. So I think Timo, look, he's got bounds of pace. Could not finish his dinner. So we'll see. Obviously, Ange has sort of revitalised that Spurs team. But, yeah, it's going to be...
Eric Dyer's going to Bayern.
Eric Dyer's linked to Bayern. Yeah. His agent is Houdini. Who knew? But, yeah, it's interesting, the Prem. I think it's obviously very up in the air at the moment because basically all the teams are losing. I mean, Arsenal have fell off. City have fell off. Liverpool have been okay, and they're probably title favourites maybe at this point, but they're going to lose Salah to the Africa Cup of Nations for a whole month. So that's going to kill them. So being without Salah for numerous games, I mean...
So it's time for United.
No, I highly doubt that we're so far away. I think we've lost like the most by this point ever. I think the only thing that's kind of saved us is the fact that we've won so many games. We've only drew one game all year. It's just we've either won or we've lost. So yeah, it's a tough one, but I think it's a sort of was not what you expected. But I mean, what are you going to do?
Not what you expected. What, being this bad?
No, I mean, no way I thought we were going to be this bad. Obviously, the injuries haven't helped, but yeah, I mean, Scott McTominay playing is just a joke. He's the worst player I've ever seen in my life.
That's why it's Ten Hag out. It keeps playing McTominay.
Ten Hag, I would have... I mean, who would we get now? There's just no point doing it now, in my opinion. You might as well just do it to the end of the season. Keep him to the end of the season. The new ownership has come in.
The review. There's a review.
Yeah, there's a review. So, yeah, the Premier League have got to review it for a couple of weeks, but they've kind of introduced themselves. So I think once they're fully in control of football operations in the summer, you have a full evaluation of the team. If you want to sack the manager, sack him. I have no problem with it, but you've just got... I think it's just a case where you've got to delay it to the end of the season so we can have some competent people making decisions. I think that's the main thing. You don't want Glazers making decisions still. Hopefully, I think Jim Ratcliffe is bringing in some decent football directors and people that have been around football a lot. So hopefully they make the decisions and they're sort of trusted to sort of overhaul this team a bit.
Yeah. Look, I think the team's fucked. There's no hope for them.
There's no hope.
Yeah. There's no hope.
Well, yeah, the Glazers are still there, so it's not looking great, but look, you never know.
Yeah. What else happened? Did you watch the Netflix World Cup thing?
No, what's that?
Oh, they did like a Drive to Survive for the World Cup.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
Was that trending? I didn't see it.
I think so.
Oh, bizarre.
Yeah.
How was it?
It was okay. They somehow got like Messi and Ronaldo doing interviews for it.
Oh, damn.
But it was just because they did the whole tournament in 6 episodes, like every team in the tournament, so it just felt really rushed. Like they would spend 5 minutes on one thing and just go something else completely different. So it wasn't like the best show, I'd say, but it was cool to get that insight into the World Cup. Obviously, it was all about Messi at the end.
Messi,
the Messiah. But yeah, that was something interesting. They could have done it better though. Like, I enjoyed watching the golf one more. So,
damn, that says a lot.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think the sports docos, they're on the down at the moment. There isn't that much coming out. Obviously, COVID was like friggin' like the gold rush of sports docos. You had Drive to Survive and The Last Dance. I mean, arguably two of the greatest sports docos of all time, if you count Drive to Survive as a doco. Yeah, but now it's just this bare out there. Pretty bare, but yeah, hopefully there's a good one on the horizon. Do you reckon if you could do a sports doco about any sports story within the last 12 months, what do you reckon it should be?
Any story in the last 12 months? I mean, Panthers 3-peat be up there.
Yeah, so many would be buying that, yeah.
On a global stage, look, the World Cup is probably the one you'd pick, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know what else.
Maybe preparation for the Olympics. Maybe do a...
but it'd have to be a proper, like a Usain Bolt maybe. But I don't know if there's that type of star level. Like, who would you focus it on?
Yeah.
Because, like, who wants to see, no offense to Jessica Fox, I believe her name is, but her just, like, paddle a canoe around?
Wow. Fair play. Also said it, so it must be true.
What, you want to watch that?
Well, no, I actually had this argument recently. I have not cared a single ounce about the Olympics since Usain Bolt got...
See, I will happily watch it because I love Australia and I enjoy just watching anything really, but for a documentary style thing, I'm probably not that invested.
Okay. Well, yeah, do you know when the Olympics are? Is it next year, mid-next year?
Next year. Paris. I don't know what month, but it's definitely next year.
Well, yeah, look, hopefully we get some. Have you heard about the Simone Biles story?
She has a boyfriend?
Yeah, so...
Does it to do with that?
No, yeah. It's
okay.
So essentially her husband was like parading around saying he was a catch in the relationship.
Oh, yes, I did see this.
And he didn't know who she was prior to them dating, which is a bit bizarre. Even I know.
She's so small, though.
I could give...
I don't know if it's just because she's so small, but he looks tall.
He's pretty tall. I think he's 6'1".
She is tiny.
Well, he's an NFL player. He's a bum. He's a literal scrub.
Oh, but he's an NFL
player.
He probably has more money than her.
No, she would have made so much from sponsorships. She probably makes more from sponsorships than he does from his salary.
Maybe. But like gymnastics, you're not making money from gymnastics.
Yeah, but they make... Like, she was literally...
She was because she was such a big star, but...
Yeah.
And also...
Yeah, it's just the fact that he was actually tweeting about... He got caught because he was tweeting about the gymnastics in the Olympics prior to when she was...
Was that when she was, like, depressed?
No, it was before she entered the Olympics, he was tweeting about the gymnastics in the Olympics prior.
Okay.
And it's like...
So obviously...
You cared about the Olympics prior to, like, the greatest gymnast of all time. You didn't even pay attention.
Have you heard about, like, the stories of the doctor with the whole team?
Yeah,
it's fucked up.
Gymnastics, man.
Bruh.
Rough news cycle at the moment. But yeah, I just wanted to shout out that guy. He's an NFL player, so he's doing well in life, but he's getting absolutely rinsed. Yeah, he plays for the Packers. But fair play. I mean, he thinks he's the most famous one in the relationship. We're all a bit delusional sometimes.
Well, he's just trying to be an alpha, I know. I think. He just feels probably...
I don't know, but I don't know. It's just there's a lot of controversy around it because it's just like how strong is that relationship? Because she's like backing him up. Like I think she said,
yes, he is
everyone
better than me.
10 years time, everyone will know me as Jonathan Owens' wife.
Oh, fuck.
And it's like,
see, that's just like he's got a hold on you.
Manipulation right there.
Yeah, he's doing things to you that he probably shouldn't be. Yeah,
it's not a good insinuation.
Mentally, I mean.
On that note, thanks for listening, everybody. Hope you had a glorious time watching our podcast and listening. Like, subscribe, and have a great day. Hasta la vista.
Peace out, nerds.